Indigeneity is a hard word to define because, like most academic terms, it has a history and a genealogy, and it's situated. So I like to start with thinking that there's lowercase I Indigenous and there's uppercase I Indigenous, capital I Indigenous. So most people know what lowercase I Indigenous means, natural to a place. So we talk about indigenous species, indigenous plants, and we use it kind of casually to talk about people. Someone's indigenous. We might even say we're indigenous to Seattle if we were born here. We might say we're native to Seattle if we were born here, with a small n. Capital I Indigenous, though, is a political term, and it comes out of activism. It comes out of a history of activism and really arises in the 1970s. It's not that there wasn't activism before that, but in the 1970s, in the US, but also globally, Native people start organizing in different ways, and they start thinking about how they might be related. So that how US American Indian issues might be similar to, or related to, or have an intersection with issues in Canada, issues in Hawaii, issues in Australia, issues in Aotearoa, New Zealand, and then even further afield, Northern Europe, Sami peoples in Northern Norway and Sweden, Ainu in Japan, Aboriginal peoples in Taiwan. So it starts to grow out, capital I, Indigenous. So that's Indigenous, and then Indigeneity, again with a capital I, is an academic term that helps us think about all of the ideas associated with what it means to be Indigenous. So you can imagine, it's a highly contested term. Different people use it differently. People use it differently in literary studies, and they might in historical studies, people in anthropology, people in political science, and then people on the ground doing real activism and real political work, all might have slightly different meanings of what they think about, but it's still a useful umbrella term when we're talking about Indigenous peoples, their histories, their contemporary rights, their contemporary struggles, and everything that kind of gets involved with that. So Indigenous Studies means really bringing multiple disciplines to bear on Indigenous topics of inquiry. The difference really is that Indigenous Studies centers the Indigenous, which may sound like a small difference, but traditional historical studies centers dominant cultures. Traditional literary studies centers dominant literary traditions. Indigenous Studies puts the Indigenous peoples, cultures, languages, histories, lands, waters at the center and starts there. And for many of us, Indigenous Studies then starts with issues of sovereignty. What does it mean to be a sovereign people? How would that affect the way you did research, how the way you write about your research, how you disseminate your research, based on thinking about not a minority people or someone at the margin of a field, but what if it was at the center? I think for most people too, Indigenous Studies is always interdisciplinary. But from lots of Indigenous perspectives, the world isn't compartmentalized in the same way that the Western, particularly Western academic systems compartmentalize the world. So contemporary university puts the hard sciences one place, and even calls them the hard sciences, and then puts the social sciences in a different place, puts humanities, puts the arts, all in different places, sees the health sciences as unrelated necessarily to the humanities. I mean, we're just now in the dominant academy starting to think about how we might have something like medical humanities, right, or environmental humanities. And these are like considered cutting edge new things. But I think from Indigenous perspectives, those things have always been related. And that story, for instance, is a way of conveying important knowledge. It's not seen as a sort of entertainment or something on the side of important stuff. So scientific work might be done through story. And one of the things that I've been really interested in from the very beginning is how contemporary Native writers use literary form to get at Indigenous ideas and concepts. So how do people innovate literary form? And how do people draw particularly on older forms and ongoing forms of Indigenous aesthetics? So a lot of my work has been thinking about, if we knew enough about carving, weaving, painting, building, creating things in Indigenous traditions, would we learn things that would help us understand contemporary Indigenous writing? And more my work has also then been thinking about Indigenous writing in relationship to other art forms. Painting, sculpture, carving. We have an amazing piece in the Burke Museum by a Maori carver, Fred Graham, that I've been writing about extensively, because it's just a stunning piece of encoding knowledge in a sculptural form It also has an accompanying poem and the signage. So thinking about how all those pieces work together to do very specifically sort of Indigenous things, trying to make Indigenous statements and to speak specifically to Indigenous audiences.